Hey guys, welcome to Super Tutor TV. I know some of you are probably wondering what is going on. Well, today we have a very special guest, Andrew Yang, who is running for president. And I thought it would be really awesome to have him on our channel and talk to you guys a little bit about education, because not only is he running for president, but he also has a background in education. He once was the CEO of a test prep company called Manhattan Prep. He also started a nonprofit called Venture for America.
Yes,
is that right?
that's
Did I get
right.
that right? Okay, cool. And Venture for America, they help with startups, I assume entrepreneurship.
Yeah, so we recruited and trained, well, we still do, happily,
Yeah.
the organization's going strong. So we recruit and train aspiring entrepreneurs who want to learn how to build businesses, and we pair them with existing businesses in 15 cities around the country: Detroit, New Orleans, Birmingham, Cleveland, so they can learn how to build job generating businesses.
Awesome. So basically, bottom line, he's interested in helping.
I train entrepreneurs.
Yeah, exactly. And help people get opportunity, which is kind of like what we're about too, is trying to help people, young people, find more opportunity and make our country more awesome. So there you go.
Yes.
We thought it would be cool to have him on, cool to talk to him a little bit about education. So let's talk.
Just a quick disclaimer, this video is not an endorsement of Andrew Yang, but we thought he had some interesting ideas to share. Whether you're left, right, or center, we want to encourage you to participate in your democracy, to share your ideas, and above all, to vote, because that's what makes our democracy awesome.
All right, so first I'll say a lot of our viewers have been hearing a lot about how like Harvard is racist, or there's all these rich parents trying to buy their kids' way into colleges. Is the system rigged when it comes to higher education? And what do you see as the role the government could play to try to make it more fair if it is?
Well, right now, school admissions are more brutally competitive than they've ever been. Let's say when I applied to Stanford back in the 90s, the acceptance rate was maybe 16, 17%. And now it's between 4 and 5%. So that just gives you a sense of the trends in education. And where government can help is we can change the incentives, because right now these schools have no incentive to grow. They have no incentive to actually create more spots. They actually get rewarded for rejecting lots of people. If you reject 19 out of 20 people, then you're like, ooh, our acceptance rate's only 5%. Like, that's actually good for the school. It's good for their rankings. And if you were to expand and accept more people, that would be bad for your rankings. So that's an incentive problem. And the government can actually play a huge role, because all of these universities are dependent upon the government for grant funding, tax exempt status that equates to billions of dollars a year. So if the government were to say, look, as in a society, our incentive is not for you to reject lots of people. Our incentive is for you to try and expand and educate more people, then that over time could reverse some of the pressures that so many young people are on, because they feel like there's this like life or death struggle to get into certain schools.
Okay, so rolling off of that a little bit, in terms of also like our education system, I know you talk a lot about automation and how that's changing our society. In what ways do you think the education system could look forward toward the future or adapt so that we can meet the demands of that future?
Yeah, and this is related to entrepreneurship, but our education system right now is very poorly designed to teach adaptability in the face of failure. Pretty much, we're just not allowed to fail in school. If you get an F in a class, then that's like, you know, like a negative game changer. But I'll tell you, in the business realm, you fail all the time. Like very, very effective salespeople, as an example, have a success rate of maybe 30%. So that means you're failing 7 out of 10 times. And if you got a 30% on a test, you'd be like, again, like I got an F, like that's the biggest nightmare for many people. So our system, unfortunately, discourages failure to such a high level that our young people are geared to avoid activities that they're going to fail at. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, the reverse is true, where you sort of expect to fail a certain proportion of the time, and then you push through that failure, and then you figure out what works.
Okay, so basically, the answer is like
more failure.
More failure.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like.
So one way, and this is you know, something that I went to Brown University, and one of the things that Brown did was that they said if you fail a class, then it doesn't count. So, I mean, that's actually one way to do it. Now, that's very extreme. Most schools, like parents would probably like have their minds blown. But that's one way to encourage risk-taking. Another thing that Brown did was that Brown actually said you could take a course pass-fail. So you could just take it for intellectual exploration.
Cool. So I was reading your policies and saw that you support the idea of 16-year-olds voting.
Yes.
Can you talk about why you support that idea?
So the studies have shown that the earlier you vote, the more likely you are to vote long-term. So if you were to get people to vote at 16, 17, then you would just increase the voting rate over time. It's also the truth that right now our voting population skews old. And so our policies tend to skew old. And if you reflect on it for a second, a 16-year-old is going to be here on the planet for a longer time. No offense to anyone, but then like a 70-year-old. And so if you have a bigger stake in what's happening, then having you vote earlier would make you a perennial voter and also give you a stake in society faster. Now, the argument against people voting early is that 16-year-olds don't understand politics or they're not informed. But the truth is that right now, many Americans are voting with low information. And so it's not like we give people a test before they vote. So 16-year-olds voting would have another positive effect of turning high schools into massive hotbeds of political discussion activity, because you literally have juniors and seniors in high school being like, who are you going to vote for? What are we going to do? You could have debates. You could say like, these are the different points of view, and that would be transformative for high schools around the country. So the benefits would far outweigh any drawbacks. Have I convinced you? What do we think, 16-year-olds? You want to vote?
Yeah. The other thing that I will add, because I know a lot of you are young people, in several states, you can actually vote in primaries as a 17-year-old. So if you are interested in voting younger, there are some states that allow 17-year-olds to vote if you are 18 by the general election.
And if you're not sure about it, what you should do is you should move to New Hampshire or Iowa and then vote for Andrew Yang in 2020.
Okay, general question, more generally, what do you see are the biggest challenges? Like, as you're running for president, you're looking at education as a whole issue. What do you see as the most important issues or the biggest challenges that we're facing as a nation when it comes to education?
Well, the problem right now is that educational institutions don't have incentives to prepare people for the economy. And the underemployment rate for recent college graduates right now is 44%. That is 44% of recent college graduates are doing a job that does not require a college degree. Now, that's a very daunting stat, and it's one reason why young people are very anxious about the future. But unfortunately, colleges, like if they continue to do the same thing year after year, nothing really bad happens to them.
Right.
And so the big challenge for us is to try and have colleges shift gears towards things. And this is not to say, because if you look at the genesis of college, the purpose of college originally was not to train you for the workforce. It was actually to train you how to think and values, and it was like training clergy and so the emphasis on employability right now is actually a relatively new thing. But it is the case that many people now go to college expecting to have their job prospects improved. So we have to try and tailor college and have it actually be more effective in terms of teaching things that might advantage one in the workforce. And the other thing that we need to do is we need to create more diverse paths for kids who aren't going to go to college. That's probably not most of you. If you're watching this, you're probably like, well, on your way to college.
And then quick follow-up question. So for that 44% of people who are graduating, how do students who are in college right now make sure that they don't end up in that 44%? And with all of this automation and all these things going on, how do they ensure that they don't become the major that their job disappears? Or how do they deal with that kind of uncertain future?
Well, the first thing, good news, your job and your major aren't necessarily the same thing. There are so many people I know who are doing jobs that have absolutely nothing to do with what they studied in college. So as long as you're adaptable and positive to work with and a hard worker, like you can find an opportunity in a different field than you studied and go very, very far. The single best piece of advice I'd have is to try and find an organization or a mentor or an employment opportunity that helps you advance professionally that you're excited about.
Cool. And my last question, the math hat. Do we have a math hat?
We must have a math hat.
Where's the math hat? We need a demonstration, because if you guys haven't seen it, Andrew has a math hat.
And it gives me magic math powers.
Apparently.
I
And
put it on and all of a sudden
okay, we're going to find one of them because I know you guys like probably love math. I love math, right? We have a lot of math on our channel. This is one of your campaign hats. As you can see, it says Yang 2020. And on the front, it says math. How did you get math as your campaign hat?
Well, so it stands for Make America Think Harder, which is what we have to do. But it also arose from an applause line on the campaign trail, which is the opposite of Donald Trump, is an Asian man who likes math. And so that's gotten me massive rounds of applause around the country. And so this math hat is now a symbol of the campaign. Make America Think Harder. And if you wear a math hat, what's fun is anyone who's in the know will look at you and say, Yang Gang, or something like that. And then you can share a knowing thumbs up.
Thank you so much for your time, Andrew. We really appreciate you coming on our channel. And I just want to encourage everyone out there, the debates.
Yeah, just get out and vote. Not, you know, if you can vote, if you're voting age.
Yeah, vote. And I think a lot of, in our channels, I mean, we have students, but we also have parents, we have teachers, we have tutors. We have lots of people out there watching.
So I'll be in the DNC debates, so you're gonna see some math on the debate stage.
So watch the DNC debates. They're on June 26th and 27th. There's 2 nights. So watch the debates and join in and join your democracy. We're so excited that Andrew could join us. I'm Super Tutor TV, at Super Tutor TV, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
I'm Andrew Yang on Twitter, Andrew Yang 2020 on Instagram and Facebook.
There you go. So get in touch with us. Thanks for watching, you guys. And
Thank
we'll see
you.
Bye.